Hi there and welcome back to The Marketing Hustle. This is my podcast. I'm Lottie and I am a startup marketing obsessive. I run two businesses. One is called Brand Hackers, which is fractional marketing teams for brands with big dreams, and the other is Upworld, which is a community for everyone in marketing. And in this podcast, I get to invite people I have wanted to meet for a really long time round for a coffee, and I get to grill them on all things marketing and founder life. Today, I spoke to Matt Kennedy, who is founder of Fussy, the deodorant brand that has really taken the world by storm. We learned today that he's at 10 to 12 million revenue, team of 10, and some really huge plans. We spoke about making content, performance versus brand, and actually had a really emotional, quite moving conversation about his experience of becoming a dad. I'd really recommend you check out the episode. Please, and I feel kind of cringe doing this, but please do follow us where you listen to your podcast, hit subscribe, and get in touch with me on LinkedIn with your feedback and thoughts, because it really makes all the difference hearing what you think. Enjoy the episode. All right, well, thank you so much for coming.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to meet. I feel like we've been WhatsApp buddies for a while.
Yeah,
but it's taken
LinkedIn,
a really elaborate setup to get you to come and chat to me.
Yeah.
The things I have to do to have coffee.
Yeah, I've just needed 3 cameras and a couple of lights.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I don't get out of bed without a flashlight.
Instant fame. I was like, okay.
Okay, you promised me virality. So we've been chatting a little bit about how it's going.
Yeah.
How is it going? How are you?
I'm good, yeah. I'm a bit tired, but aren't we all?
Yeah. But you're in the midst of it.
In the midst of it, yeah. In the midst of funding round, in the midst of growing. We're expanding our retail distribution,
nice.
Which is really good. So a few top retailers, more on top of Tesco coming and stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm thankful. Like, I've done a lot of jobs, had a few careers, I guess. Although I think career is a dirty word, but so I'm just thankful to be doing what I'm doing. Like,
what's the potted career history?
Oh God. I shouldn't have said that.
We'll do it quickly. You've already told me that you were a structural engineer.
Yeah. So I went into to study mechanical engineering at Bristol.
Yeah.
I got kicked out.
Yeah.
Became a DJ, as everyone does. It seems that I speak to as an entrepreneur. They're like,
I have not been a DJ.
Yeah, all sold sweets all the DJ. So did that. Then became a recruitment consultant.
Got a lot of time for that.
Then earned some money, went back to uni because I had to get a degree because my parents are English professors, and so I was like, what the hell are you doing? Where's your degree?
Yeah.
Thought that was the right. So then went back, did building surveying and design. Did really well then because I got diagnosed dyslexic when I was like 25. So I went back, got this bit of more support.
Yeah.
Did really well. Went to become a surveyor in the city. Hated it, but was all right at it. I was kind of project managing multi-million-pound sustainable refurbishment projects. So that's where the kind of sustainability edge came in. But didn't enjoy it. Always looking for the creative elements in every role I had. And with surveying, I felt like, one day I'll start a company and I'll do renovations myself. And, it's always trying to find that thing. And then an old friend from when I was a DJ said, you meet my brother, he's starting an app. He's looking for someone to be the face of this app, and we think you'd be great. Don't ask. So then I was a model. Yeah, I know. What the hell? It's called Honest Man, and went on this. There was cameras all like this, and this guy's brother who I met, and I was like, "What's your job? Like, this is really cool. Like, you're directing me." And he's like, "I'm a creative." I was like, "A creative? That's not a job. That's you arrogant wanker. Yeah, what the fuck?" But okay, I'm up for it. Literally the next day, just a light bulb went off. I was like, you can get paid to write ideas, a TV script, and then go and make it. I did not even know that was a job. I hadn't even thought about the adverts on TV until that point. So I quit my job the next day. Wow. Literally burnt my suit. My wife, who's now my wife at the time, she's my girlfriend, was like, not again. She'd seen me go through, because we met when we were 18 at uni, so she'd seen the evolution. She was like, you finally found a job, you're getting paid all right, and then you're quitting, what the hell? But found this place, which is basically an art school in Brixton, called School of Communication Arts.
I've heard loads about it.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I mean, it changed my life. It really, really did. There was only at the time 15 students they admit a year, and it was it's quite expensive. I couldn't afford it. But yeah, it's in an old nightclub in a church, and actually similar to your setup here, the the dean is in the DJ booth, like he looks down on you, and you do.
I feel like that's really misleading for anyone watching this. I don't live in a club. Similar to this
Up
nightclub that you live in.
Yeah. Up there on your 10th balcony. And it was just like basically gave me a license to be creative, because I think school has a thing where it kind of teaches you that you're either good at maths or physics or English and art, and if you can't draw, you're not creative. And that was my kind of feeling. And that whereas actually here it was like, no, like your currency is ideas. Like you don't need to be able to draw them. Although ironically, I became an art director and a copywriter, having been dyslexic. So it's like being dyslexic. So it gave me that license to suddenly come out with these ideas and not be like, I had to do ideas and not be scared of what people might think of me putting content out. And so I won a scholarship to SCA anyway, because I basically made a soap brand. My sister at the time had skin cancer, so I made a soap brand called Honest Soap, which was stamped with kind of very honest messages about looking after your skin. That got me the scholarship. And then I got a job basically as a creative, went to Mother, who are a really good agency in London, then Lucky Generals, then ended up Grey. It was great, best thing ever, but you are getting paid to come up with ideas and then give them away to people like Unilever, as it happened, and Pantene and Gillette and all these brands that towards the end of that part of my career I was working with, who I hated. I worked with loads of little brands as well, but towards the end of that career I was like, oh God, like I was presenting them sustainability ideas and they just like, no, sorry, we're not interested in like the social purpose behind Heinz mayonnaise, which I can understand, to be fair, with mayonnaise. But with deodorant, maybe they should have listened. In fact, they probably should have, but they didn't. And so I was at work, and then my wife Becky was pregnant, expecting a baby, looking for a more natural deodorant product that worked. Couldn't find one. Not only couldn't find one that was like fitted in with her lifestyle and like was nice to use and didn't need armpit creams or like flowery patterns. So I just spotted this opportunity basically, and we looked at what was going on in the US, where there was a few refillable deodorants, nobody doing it in the UK at the time. Obviously now we've got a competitor who keeps us on our toes.
Yeah,
but
a little guy.
Just a little one.
Tiny irrelevant.
Tiny, totally irrelevant. But at the time we didn't, and basically ended up starting the business whilst working in advertising with Eddie, who was the guy that I'd met on the photo shoot for the app way back when. So he got me into advertising, then we started the business together. And so that was 3.5 years ago now as a side project. And it went really well, and then off the back of that, we eventually quit our jobs, and here we are. You didn't even ask for the story of how Fussy started. You asked for my career history, but
great,
it's all links.
Great, we're up to speed.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned Fussy's in retail, and I know that there's a team of 10.
Yeah.
Help me understand how big this business is.
Yeah.
Where are we at today?
So we've sold a couple of million refills.
Amazing.
We're at about a 10-12 million run rate revenue at the moment.
That's really extraordinary.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't you think we take enough moment to be like millions of refills?
I know. Yeah, I remember like to my wife Becca always being like, when we get to 10 million revenue, like we've kind of done it almost. Like as in like the business is like we've got product market fit, and whereas
time.
Before that it's kind of like a bit like but now we're there. We're like, okay, that's cool, but 20 mil, and you've just
move on, don't you?
Yeah, you just keep raising the bar. So it is good to reflect and go like, oh, that's really cool. That's like what we wanted. No, it's really cool, and like giving people jobs is so rewarding, and building a brand that's actually like making a difference in the world.
Yeah.
And also being the client rather than working in advertising and like everyone just saying no to my ideas. I can now just be like, yep. That's my idea, and I'm going to do it.
Even if it's not very good, we're going to do it.
Or we're going to get sued.
Because I'm the boss. How have you found enough customers to sell millions of refills?
Yeah, I mean, good question. But I guess like almost everybody uses deodorant. So it's one of those...
that helps.
Yeah, so it's one of those products that, you don't have to explain too much, although our product... kind of you do, because it's also refillable, it's also natural, but I think everybody uses deodorant, and so that was part of the business model, was always looking for those products that people use every day and part of their routine, because not only is that good for business because it's a product people reuse and can refill, but that's how we create mass impact, mass environmental change, is by finding those products that people use a lot of.
There's got to be enough of it.
Yeah.
So you've got a big market.
Yeah.
Which helps.
Yeah.
but you've still got to convert people.
See what you mean? Yeah.
And they're not like initially you were D2C, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Still quite limited in-store footprint, and so all of those people are not just changing out of a habit, but they're buying in a very different way.
Yeah.
So
True.
How do you do that?
Yeah, so I mean, like 90% of people still buy their deodorant in the supermarket. Yeah, you can build
it's very
a
habitual,
multi-million
and
pound.
it's just on the shopping list.
From D2C. So yeah, we never saw ourselves as a D2C brand, but that was just our route to market.
Yeah,
and I think that's like a really important distinction, especially when like people out there might be trying to raise money or whatever, and they're getting no's because they're a D2C brand. Like, are you, or is that just your go-to market strategy?
Is that just the first?
Yeah,
step?
that's the first step, right? And you can learn. You've got that. You know the benefits of being a D2C brand, but for us, really important. Like our product now, when we launched into Tesco, far better than the product we launched on D2C like 2 years ago. And if we launched that one, I don't think it would have sold so well in Tesco. So that was definitely the right decision. But I guess rather depressingly, in terms of marketing, like how have we got where we've got? We've been super performance focused, which is the opposite of what I was doing advertising. Like, I was really brand focused. Make the logo smaller, please. Like, it's too big. Don't put the website on there. Now I'm kind of the opposite. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the things we've got right, is leaving like my personal views and what I want to do aside, and being like super performance focused rather than so much above the line or brand marketing focused.
And performance focused means tons of money on Meta, strong Google campaign structure. Like, to make that really clear, that's just you prioritizing a very tight D2C conversion funnel. Yeah,
rather depressingly, because I know I hate giving lots of money to Meta, but that's the reality of it. Yeah, it's like the best. It's still one of the best ways to, I think, test and learn. If you're launching a business, like, find out what your cost of acquisition is, find out what your customers are saying, get them, running a few ads, and
So how have you thought about brand perception and stand out in the way you've made performance creative?
Totally. I guess from the start, what we did is we looked, because there's that's all that the debate about brand or performance, and actually it was like, well, you can have brand performance, which I think is kind of what you're implying. And
this is it. I think it's such a I think it's such a privileged discussion.
Yeah.
To be like, but are we going to layer brand on top of performance? Like, no, because you've got to stay alive.
Yeah.
And therefore I've got to perform, especially in the language.
Yeah.
I'd quite like my marketing to short-term perform so that I can make some money.
Yeah.
And therefore I also need to build a brand, because clearly I'm building a business that people feel something about, otherwise they wouldn't be spending any money. So I just think this like way that we pulled them apart is actually a real misnomer until businesses get pretty big.
100%, yeah. And people also like to be quite, yes or no about things, don't they? I've forgotten the word, but it's like when people are like, "Are you acquisition or retention focused?" Like, well, we do a bit of both.
Yeah, it's like I'm kind of into both.
It's not like you have to choose brand or performance. So yeah, I guess we were from the start. Although we were doing performance ads, we were like, how do we make them look nice? How can we put brand into it? How can we put our tone of voice into it? And that is, or our sense of humour, or and that is something that we've continued to try and do, even when we're doing UGC content or cutting up Dragon's Den content. And I think it has been one of our differentiators in a way, was off the bat, like because of my background. We were able to create creative and iterate on stuff pretty quickly, and that's definitely helped.
What's your team structure? Who makes all of this happen?
So we've got a wonderful team. Basically, 10 of us. So head of ops, head of sales, and then head of growth. And then on the brand side, it's basically, I'm still kind of holding on dearly to that, but I've got a great marketing lead, Charlie, that reports directly into me. So
nice.
And then we're pretty light on the marketing side. Like, on growth side, we've got 2 people. And on brand side, we've got Charlie, myself, and a graphic designer. And that's it. We produce most of the content we make in-house, edit it all in-house, and try and run it like a marketing agency, to be honest. Like when we're launching new products and stuff, it's all like campaign. What's the line? What's the objective?
Yeah.
What's the look and feel? So yeah.
And what have you learned about hiring marketers and building, like, what makes a good marketer, and what's the journey been?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, isn't it? I think it's like so dependent on size of the business and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
what you need for the marketeer, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. But I guess I'm biased in that I kind of probably look for people that have got that a bit of, you know, creative edge. And we're speaking about that left brain, right brain.
Yeah, exactly.
A bit of that analytical and a bit of that creative mixed together is really, really helpful. And also, I think at a junior or early stage of your career, like obviously there's, you know, people say, you know, you're jack of all trades and a kind of master of none, right?
Yeah.
But how about being a master at being a jack of all trades? And I think it's those kind of people
Okay.
that I'm interested in. So they're, you know, they're good across a lot of channels, basically. Maybe they've got a specialism or that will come later, but at the early stage, that's what I'm
And
interested
how
in.
do you, I get asked this question a lot, like, how do you tell when someone junior is good?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Look it up.
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
No, I mean...
But I say, because my answer is always, we'll be really clear on the one thing you're really looking for,
Yeah.
and then look for evidence of that one thing.
Yeah.
That hypothesis completely collapses if your strategy is hire masters of all things.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I guess for me, we set a task, a presentation.
Yeah.
And I find that really helpful because you can just see how they think. So we always set like come up with a new launch idea.
Yeah.
And execute it for us,
Yeah.
basically. And then you can see very quickly, are people good at the idea, or they're good at analysing whether it was successful or not, or they're good at the execution, and you can very quickly figure out there what kind of marketeer they might be or where they need a bit of work.
Yeah.
So recently we just launched a Love Hearts scent. That was actually like an interview, someone's interview presentation they did 2 years ago that I was like, oh, that's a good idea, because they were like, Love Hearts for Valentine's. I was like, oh yeah.
So you didn't give them the job and then stole their idea?
No, we gave them the job. Yeah.
I'm joking.
We don't do that. I don't know why I looked into the mic then. I thought that was we don't do that.
Promise.
That'd be a really weird angle as well.
Straight up your nose. Okay, so you don't do that. So
No,
someone
we don't do
said that was their campaign idea and you thought, cool, and then they brought it to life.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
over time.
They presented it. They got the job. Thought it was a good idea. Spoke to the people. And we brought it to life. Yeah.
Who do you go to talk to Love Hearts about?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Love Hearts is one of those amazing brands that I couldn't possibly tell you who owns them or what they do.
They're
or
called
like,
Swizzles.
Oh yeah, of course they are. And are they
We just
like
Googled
somewhere
it.
in?
Yeah.
You just Google where is Mr. Loveheart and then go and say hi.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Full of love. And then we did a licensing deal with them, but it didn't cost very much money.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Nice. What we talked about performance a little bit. What in your marketing's really worked? What are the secrets that I ask you to publicly give away?
Well, I guess it would be a remiss of me not to mention Dragon's Den, because
Yeah.
it has had a big impact on the business.
Yeah.
But I think one thing we've done really well, and I'd include Dragon's Den in that, and I guess is make the most of every opportunity. And so I guess that's our approach to our marketing. Now, that might be brand or performance, but in Dragon's Den's case, a bit of both. We've got PR, we use it in our ads, etc.
Yeah.
But also, getting legal letters from Unilever, we've turned that into stunts and stuff.
Yeah,
so I think it's
amazing,
seeing
right?
everything as an opportunity has definitely been like an approach that I would encourage people to champion.
How do you structurally take that approach? Like
Yeah.
what in the business is driving that output?
Yeah, I guess at such a small size, 5 people a year ago, 10 now, it does come down a lot to the founder and like how they react to certain situations. And then I think when you're starting to get bigger, it's probably your company values, right? And trying to instill those into people. And so
something will happen and you'll just be dogmatic about how he's sweating this.
Yeah.
You're just asking all the questions that result in it being amplified.
Yeah, I mean, when we got the legal letter from Unilever telling us to, they actually asked us to apologise publicly, which is why we did a stunt. I was like, oh, great, this is definitely something funny we can do with this. That was the reaction, But don't get me wrong, if there's like operational issues in the past, I've definitely not reacted like, oh, this is a great opportunity. Our deodorant factory's just exploded. Like,
what a joy!
Yeah, it's going to make a great social film, right? There's definitely been moments where I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah, I want to
it's
bang
over.
my head, yeah.
There's been so many times when the business first started of like, this is it, like the business is over. Do you know what I mean?
Like what?
Oh, just like the deodorant factory exploding, or like
That actually happened?
Well, we were a very small factory, and it turned out the guy was like filling deodorants with a thing on his back. So they like the mixer basically blew up
On his back?
Well, no, he had a mixer, and then he used to like fill up the backpack from the mixer, and the mixer blew up. Yeah, but then we went to a bigger factory, and then they went into administration. Like literally on like the day my first head of ops started, so I was like ordering boxes. I've ordered boxes once from China, which we don't now, thankfully, but because I thought it'd save money, and then like because of the volume, it was like 50 grand or something to get them here, and that was like half our cash. I was like, oh my god. So there's been so many times. Eddie, my co-founder, sadly had to leave the business because he had a really serious brain injury. He's fine now, but that was a challenging moment where I thought everything was gone again. So there's been so many times, and I guess you'll know, being a founder as well, that all of those experiences build resilience. So now when something happens, it's kind of like, okay, well, I mean, it's not as bad as that other thing that happened, but
you definitely get tougher.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So we're referring to like the Unilever event as though everyone in the world knows about it.
Yeah,
Dare I
true.
say they listening to this may not.
Oh, they won't.
Shocking that someone may not have heard. So let's use that as a kind of example.
Yeah.
Talk me through what happened and then what you did about it and kind of how you made that as bigger event as possible and as positive as it was for the business.
We really need to get a new stunt to talk about because it was about 3 years ago now, so it's quite embarrassing that it's still like one of the best things we've done.
Just wheeling out my old anecdote.
We have today, though, I'm pleased to announce, done the first in the world armpit sponsorship deal.
What?
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah, you know, like how
Hot
Nike...
off the press?
Yeah, hot off the press. This is world exclusive. Yeah, but the contract signed, so I'm allowed to talk about it.
Whose armpits are you sponsoring?
We are sponsoring the armpits of the world's most sustainable football club, so all the players, basically.
It's incredible.
So we're getting little badges in the armpits of the shirts.
Amazing.
So, like Nike sponsor boots, so we thought, well, we'll sponsor armpits of athletes. So...
was it cheaper to do the armpits than the boots?
I think so, yeah, because they were just like...
Because they're like, we don't have a rate card for this.
That's exactly what happened.
Someone's like...
They were like, sent me over their like sponsorship packages. I was like, no, this one's not on there.
Yeah.
I was like, we'll take that one, the cheapest one, but can we add armpits into it? So the contract literally says armpit sponsorship. We're known as the official armpit sponsor, like in the contract. It's hilarious.
Amazing. And this is a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. No, let's talk about how are you going to activate your world first?
Oh God! Well, I've just done it.
Well, no,
I've activated it.
We've activated it, but we're gonna make content.
We're gonna make content. Yeah, I think we'll probably do a shoot, fashion style.
Oh,
get
nice.
the armpits up.
Yeah, lots of posing.
Yeah, high flash. Make it all look a bit serious, even though it's like complete ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of rub. So yeah, that'll be good. And then we'll go and watch some football games. Forest Green Rovers, they're called.
Oh,
I
great.
don't actually know where it is. I think Forest Green.
Quick Google.
Forest Green.
How fun. take some buyers, take some influencers.
Oh yeah.
Big day
Didn't think
out.
about buyers. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, some podcasters.
I'll come. Definitely come to the armpit party. Yeah, I think it's like a big day out. It's like, it's like what's your version of the box? You need to do your like VIP.
Oh yeah, like a giant armpit that you can just walk into. It'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All of that. Okay, so the Unilever.
Yeah, Unilever.
The last big stunt before today's stunt.
Ooh.
You got a letter.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Yeah, so we got the letter firstly because it was one of our first Facebook ads ever we made was a beautiful ad that panned along all the deodorants in the world. Sure, and
every single one in the entire world.
Every single one in the entire world. It took ages. It was just like
yeah, I spent 7 years making this ad.
Shaw, Mitchum, Lynx. Actually bleep all that out. I'll probably get sued again. And then it ended on Fussy, so it was like the evolution of deodorant, the next in next in phase. It just so happened every single one of those deodorants was owned by Unilever. Literally, so we then got.
Is that not some competition thing? Does that not raise a big question about their dominance in the category?
Oh, I don't know. I should have
sued them back.
Should have sued them back. That would have been even better. Maybe I'll do that next time.
There you go.
And they basically sent us, a letter telling us to take it down, and it was wrong to compare products, and and to curtail off their brand's reputation, which was strange because we weren't trying to borrow their brand's reputation, if anything. But no, it was wrong with us. But as we said, and they asked us to say sorry to everybody that we showed the ad to. So, I mean, we were like, well, how can we possibly say sorry to everyone who we've shown the ad to unless we run another ad saying sorry? So they kind of gave us the solution in their letter. So we reached out as a peace offering with an olive branch as a peace offering, but in the form of a 4-metre olive tree, which blocked the front door to their office. And obviously security were called and were like, what the hell is this? And there was a letter for the CEO where we explained, look, we're only a small team, just myself and one other, and we don't have a legal department yet, but we are very sorry, which we are. And to be fair, Alan Duke, the CEO at Unilever, or was the CEO at the time, took it very well. Said he told us not to sweat it and that he'd look after the tree. And I think it's still there somewhere, probably. I mean, the beautiful olive tree. Yeah. I feel bad for the delivery driver. He was a Greek Cypriot who was really into olive trees, just by total chance. Like, he didn't deliver it. Like, we hired
it wasn't
him.
that you went to a Greek man.
No. Like, the
tree.
olive tree was dropped off outside my house, and then we got this white van man. He just so happened to be. Yeah. I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious. And he's like, where are we going anyway? And then it's like 6 a.m, and he was like. And then after we dropped it and like security, we like legged it back in the van. He was like, it's nothing dodgy, is it? I was like, no, don't worry. He's like, because my wife's like head of security for some casino. I was like, oh no, don't worry, no. So I apologise. Again, I looked in the mic. I apologise if he's watching this for any trouble we got you in. But yeah, so I guess it was turning adversity into an opportunity or something good, which I think startups are generally quite good at.
And then did you run that as an ad?
We did put that as a boosted post, yeah. We basically made a film of like we've just got this thing and we're getting up at 6 a.m. It was a bit of a kind of like
Ocean's 11 vibe.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, but you didn't commit to delivering the full impressions.
No, we didn't. No. But we put it on LinkedIn. Alan commented on LinkedIn, but I just like the idea that in Unilever it was. I wonder how many. Because he responded, how many levels of approval that response had to go through, I don't know. But
yeah, how many man hours were spent? Yeah, a comment on a love tree. Brilliant. Okay, so we talked a little bit about some stuff that's gone wrong.
Yeah.
Those are firmly in the out of control camp.
Yeah.
What mistakes have you made?
What mistakes have we made? I mean, we've definitely made a lot of mistakes, but... I think we've probably been too slow to put in. This is such a boring answer. I'm so sorry, but it's the reality. I think we've probably been too slow to put in like systems and processes into marketing. How boring that is, but
no, it's like it cuts me so deep. I'm like, yup, you're so right. Like, no, I know it's not jazzy, and I also don't have a clue how to do it.
Sure you do.
No, I'm not sure I do. I mean, I have a bit of an idea.
Yeah.
But like my personal development now is how to get really good at systems and processes. I'm not going to skip off to webinars on that. Like, I can't.
Exactly.
I'm digging deep and I can't find the energy to do it. But I think you're completely right.
Because that's how you scale. So especially if you are a D2C brand, needing to scale your creative, for example.
Yeah.
Like, how do you produce the volume of creative that are needed,
Yeah.
To give an example, in November, I think we made 150 ads.
Fuck. All in-house, one team.
Well, we use some UGC creators as well,
Yeah.
but that's like 10x on the year before. Like, putting that system in place. I think we've also been... we've called off tests too early sometimes. So I think, again, systems and processes, but having clear guardrails in place on like, if you're launching a new channel, like what period of time do you give it until you say, right, this is actually working for us. Do you know what I mean? So previously we might launch TikTok and be like, oh man, this isn't working. Like, it's costing far too much. Put the money back in Meta. But it's actually, it can take like 3 to 6 months to get a channel working. So having that in place as well.
Did you say that like about your relationship with TikTok because that's what's happened?
Yeah, that's definitely what's happened.
So
I've called it off. Yeah.
Called it off, and have you gone back in, or you?
Now we're back in.
Now
we're going, and we're it's an OKR, and we've got 1 and 3 months to kind of learn. Then 3 to 6 months to improve. Like, if it's working, then we'll improve. So it's like 6 months basically the channel's getting to see where we can get it.
And you're clear on what needs to be true in 6 months for that to be a success?
Yeah, so for us, it's like new channels need to be performing better than our biggest paid channel. So any new
because if it's not adding efficiency, then it's not.
Yeah.
Contributing.
So yeah.
Big goal.
Yeah.
How are you going to do it? Loads of TikTok creative.
Well, luckily Hugo's going to do it. So no, so the team are going to do it hopefully. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, creative, testing.
Yeah,
all those things. All those things. Me dancing a bit. Yeah,
that always helps. I've heard.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting with TikTok. I don't know. It's like such a foreign world to me. Like, I'm 37. But yeah, TikTok definitely makes me feel 37, if not older. So I'm happy to kind of leave that one to the guys a little bit. But yeah, I think it will be creative, and just giving it a fair chance.
Yeah. That 150 bits of creative.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in that. I'm kind of awestruck. I had dinner with someone last night who's producing 90 pieces of content a week.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. So like this whole land of like scaled content, I just think it's so interesting, and how different businesses are approaching it. So first question is why? Why do you need that much?
Yeah. So it's a good question, and internally I do get people push back to me and go, Matt, do we really need to make more ads?
Seriously?
And I guess I always say, like, it's the same as buying a lottery ticket, basically. The more lottery tickets you buy, the higher your chance of winning, right? And that's basically the approach on Meta. You're trying to find winners, you're trying to find outliers, you're trying to find strong performers. And the way to do that, in my opinion, one of the ways to do that, in my opinion, is to buy more lottery tickets, make more ads, and you'll find something faster. As long as your budgets allow you to obviously test that volume of creative. But
yeah, I was going to say there's a big caveat to that.
Yeah,
like,
of course,
you've got to be spending sufficient.
Yeah. And obviously iterating on winners as well, but I think it's probably, in terms of ads, probably easier to find a 9 or like an 8, 9 out of 10 ad versus like optimize like a 5 out of 10 ad and get it higher.
Yeah.
Take big bets, take big swings. Yeah.
And how do you? Okay, I got the why. How do you think about what those need to be? Is it 150 briefs?
No, do you know, it wasn't like we set out to make 150. It's just like that's what happened. But I guess, we map out the different types of ads, like statics, polished, brand creative, UGC creative, look at angles. So every and then it's just putting in, again, systems and processes. So like every UGC creative we get made, we make sure we've got 5 different hooks from the same person. So, if you're getting 5 people to make 5 ads, and they're doing 5 different intros on those ads, you've suddenly got 25 ads from 5 people and 1 brief. So little things like that can suddenly really, really help.
Yeah. Amazing. And then systems and processes.
Yeah.
What happens behind that? So you have this framework, you're thinking about all the different stuff. In the most granular, boring terms, how does it go from that to the creative?
So I guess we've got 2 processes. We've got like the ideation process, and then through to like the creative production process, and then doing that again. So I guess like the easiest way to describe it is just talking about it regularly. So like we have a weekly meeting between me, the head of growth, and the marketing lead, where we review performance that's just gone by for the past week, what's working, what's not. We look at the production backlog, what ideas have we got, what ideas are in production, what's currently running.
And that's on like a Trello board?
Notion. Notion. Yeah. And we just make sure that board from idea to production live is constantly populated, and they have dates in so we can see how we're running per month. So there's that, and then we've also got a monthly ideation session with the whole team now, where it's a kind of brainstorm thing. And I actually don't like brainstorms, but I'm going to give it. We've only just started doing this, so we'll give it a go. Yeah, I think brainstorms. I don't know. Sometimes the loudest voice wins. People don't get their ideas heard. Sometimes people start knowing ideas, and then that means that people shut down. They don't give their ideas. So I think I agree. I think if brainstorms are run well, then they've got a place, but often they're not run well. Yeah.
It's one of those things that like there's a lot of very credible scientific evidence that tells us it's nonsense.
Exactly.
We're like, let's put a brainstorm in the diary.
Yeah.
We know this isn't a good way to gather ideas. We know that, like, yes, they can be done well if they take, great facilitation that none of us have the headspace to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only way. I think one of the good things about brainstorms is getting the team involved, like, and get, like if we're coming up with a new scent idea, stuff like that, it's nice to do a brainstorm with the whole. We're able to do it with the whole company at the moment because of our size, and that's nice that everyone's involved in that.
That comes back to like the things you can do when you're 10.
Yeah, exactly. Go
in
for
a year,
lunch.
You won't be able to get everyone in a room without being like, the cost of this meeting is extraordinary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or I'll probably have to learn that the hard way. Like, we'll probably do it, and then I'll be like, oh shit.
There's not a lot of people.
Yeah, well, that lunch cost a lot. It's because there's loads of people.
Because I've got a huge team now. Yeah, I know. My 2 annual parties, whenever I'm doing the P&L, I'm like, what is that cost? It's like, that's literally getting a remote team together for a day.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Wow. Yeah. Trains from Edinburgh, really that much these days? It makes me such an old woman. Okay, so your learnings are things that you would do differently is systems and processes earlier. I think that's a really powerful one. Is there anything else?
Probably. I also would have moved faster on certain things, on certain channels.
Do you think that's fair to ask that of yourself?
I was thinking that as well.
Just because like a hindsight thing.
It is, and it also depends on resources. Like, one of the things that's actually been a bit of a secret weapon to us, and actually, we have raised 3 million to date, which over 3 years, which is a lot of money. But like, in comparison to some competitors, it's like a fifth. It's not a lot of money.
And compared to your revenue, it's not a lot of money.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Have you been profitable for
We were
a long
just
time?
profitable Q4 last year for the first time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've had to be quite. We've watched the pennies, and for me, not coming from a startup background, like, it was a lot of money. Even when we got like 500,000 was a lot of money. Even 60K was a lot of money. And so I've always been quite hesitant to spend it. And so I think actually sometimes having less is more.
Yeah.
Because you have to be really efficient with it.
Yeah.
And you also, as you get bigger, you slow down and stuff like that. So that's definitely one thing. And then I think the other thing I got wrong was coming from a marketing background. I was like, growth equals marketing. Whereas actually in startup land, growth equals marketing plus operations. So like you can...
Okay, that's such a powerful distinction.
Yeah, so you can like scale your marketing, but if you can't provide if you can't fulfill it, you're just going to really screw your brand reputation and all the rest of it. So I think I definitely didn't invest in the ops side enough.
Does your head of growth look after ops? No.
No, we've got a head of ops now.
So it's not like that's reflected in your org structure?
No, but...
Growth delivers demand.
Yeah.
And then there's someone who's responsible for supply.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it was reflected, though, in like our first senior hire was head of ops. We didn't have head of growth or head of marketing. It was me and head of ops.
Yeah.
And a social media lead. That was like the first 3 employees.
Yeah.
And I think it was good to do ops on my own for a while first, because at least then when head of ops is talking, I can understand. But yeah, you've got to also like know when to hand it on.
Yeah.
I remember just like having moments at my laptop where I was just like, just start crying because of like, I think anyone that does ops, I don't know how they do it. Like, it's just constant
a totally
problems.
different way of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to
Fair play to them.
Yeah, absolutely fair play, and brilliant that they exist because it's what enables us to do what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I'm always super interested in understanding how funding structures affect the way businesses are run. And I think marketeers are really foolish in how little they think about this stuff. And when they're applying for jobs, like, I never ever get asked in an interview, like, how do you pay for all of this? Like, and I think it's the one question people should ask.
Yeah.
I think it's really wild that candidates aren't drilling me on what's the financial security of this business? How's your cash flow? Like, those are the questions that I would want to know as a candidate.
Yeah.
And I think they have a huge impact on the way different businesses operate.
Yeah.
And on like what success means. Like, totally. Sure, we can all tout revenue numbers, but like, what's underneath that?
Yeah.
So how have you've raised a fair bit by any standard, but by the standard of your category, not that much.
Yeah.
And you've hit profitability recently. Tell me about that journey and the decisions in that.
Sure. So, I mean, the first 2 years, 2 years of the business, like if we didn't make improvements in our margin to where they are today, the business long term wouldn't have worked. Like, and I knew that. Like, we knew that. That's the bet we took. So, but we had a path to get there. So, like, if you're in the consumer goods business, I think you need to have gross margins 80% plus, or you need to have a route to get there. That's like before discounts, before returns, etc. Like when we started, after discounts, returns were probably like 65%, and that's why we're raising money to like keep us alive,
to manage that bit until you can get to 80%.
Because we don't have enough revenue left after COGS and marketing and delivery, etc., and then all our operations costs to basically run a profitable business. With the amount of cash that is invested in lots of D2C business into marketing, maybe 30 to 40% of your gross revenue if you're in growth mode. So it was, survival. But we got there, and we took the bet that we'd get the scale and get into retail, which gives you, got to Tesco, gives you the scale to get your margins up. And from that point, everything gets a little bit easier. We were profitable. We became self-sufficient basically, and didn't need to raise more money, thankfully, by the end of the year just gone. But then and then it's like, right, maybe now we should go and raise some money for growth, not to stay alive, but for growth, which is the way I think venture capital always used to be before Dollar Shave and Harry's and all them came along. It should be for growth and not just to make the business stay alive. Also, I think people that run a bootstrapped profitable business, I think that's like much more skillful personally than like running an unprofitable high growth business.
It's different skills.
It's just different skills, maybe.
I think you have to be cut so differently. I find I'm bootstrapped and I find the other world absolutely terrible. But it's like, we have our own trigger points.
What's annoying is that I guess at certain points your destiny is in the hands of investors and capital you can raise. So, that is frustrating. And that was definitely what was keeping me up at night for the last 2 years, is like raising money,
So you decided to go for profitability. That was like a goal for a long time.
Yeah, 6 months, I'd say, when it was like starting to get in sight. It was an OKR. It was like,
when you were like, I can see it.
Get our margins in place. So that was like, ops working on unit economics, marketing working on keeping our CAC down while we scale, and the two of them, or keeping your CAC level as you scale. But I mean,
and now you're raising again.
Yeah.
To do, you say growth, but like, what's that going to? What are the big building blocks of that?
Yeah, so I guess for us, we're one product at the moment, a few add-ons, but we're refillable deodorant, 99% of that in the UK, a large majority of that online. So it's very.
So there's some white space.
Yeah, it's just very simply like those three things. I think people sometimes overcomplicate things. That's actually another thing with marketing.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people overcomplicate marketing. I don't know, long strategy decks, and I of course there's stages of business where you need all that, but like at an early stage, like just keep it simple, man. Like you just need to go get some customers. Do you know what we like messaged every single old friend we had on Facebook? I didn't even know some of the people we were messaging. Signed up to all the local like community groups. We like created fake profiles on Facebook so we could infiltrate communities.
This is the stuff I love, though. This is the proper hustle. Like, no one talks about the bit where you get just out the gates how, like, it's literally one-on-one conversation. It's multiplied. Stuff that cannot scale.
And we had, 20 different types of email template, depending on people, old work colleagues, old friends of friends, and then we'd just be copying and pasting.
Found.
And that is really. It's good fun, and like I think it's really important to do that as well, because it's like you still do need that energy and that kind of hustle even later on, like when you're rolling out new ideas or new products. But there's lots of that going on. But we got there. We sold about £100,000 worth of deodorant in a month. Didn't spend anything on marketing.
Just a lot of sweat. Which is ironic. Can we talk about your massive competitor?
Yeah.
Like, how... Were you first or were they first?
They were first.
Okay.
6 months, I think.
Did you know that was happening?
No.
How did that feel?
Yeah, that was definitely one of those moments again, this is over. I think when
just a feeling of like, there's two of us can't do this at once.
No, well, it's just when I saw the product and the similarity between the product.
Oh, right.
So like we'd been developing the product for a year or more.
Yeah, of
It wasn't
course.
like they came out, we then took the product, made the product. Do you know what I mean? Like if we did,
It takes more than 6 months to just like knock
yeah. So it was like, oh shit, okay. So yeah, I definitely wasn't bullish at that point. I know their route to market was the same as ours. They launched as Kickstarter, but they launched a non-refillable product on the Kickstarter. You could, if you read through, you could see they had plans to do something else, but.
And were you like reading it like what?
Yeah.
Studying.
I mean, I think they did 10 grand on Kickstarter. We did 100, so at least we were winning back then.
Yeah.
But look, like it, of course, in startup world, in London world, in VC world, we're always going to be compared to close competitors. But the reality of it is 75% of our customers, and we know because we ask them every year, we're using antiperspirant before they're using us. It's not us versus wild.
Exactly.
Life supplies. It, you know, maybe in our minds sometimes it is. I mean, obviously important to keep a watch of what competitors are. Like, be aware, don't be obsessed, I say.
Yeah, but, and you'll never know this, like the benefits of a category being built for you.
Oh, yeah.
And ultimately there's like a lot of other people's cash that you're kind of
piggybacking
riding off a bit. And as you say, it's a big old pie that for a long time will all just be about switching from antiperspirants as opposed to switching from each other.
Yeah, totally.
So there's a lot of good from it.
100%. You've seen it with loads of other categories as well, like Tails.com, exited to Nestle, right?
Yeah.
And then Butternut Box, I think, maybe had a successful event after the Tails.com one, because the people that bid for that the company that didn't get it are looking for their one. So, it is a good thing if we both succeed, us and Wild, in this. And like we're on the same mission. So like, and obviously we want to show that it's a business and it's profitable and it can do well. But ultimately, like, we're also trying to do good for the planet, and so like it's good that consumers have choice and more sustainable options. And at the end of the day, no one wants to smell the same, and our scents are different. So there you go.
So I've got that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Are there like fundamental differences in the way that you're building the businesses that, me as a consumer who gets some ads won't know the difference between?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too much into our like competitive advantage, I suppose I would call it. But no, I guess like, look, we're different products, and what works for one person in terms of stopping smell doesn't work for everybody. So we focus really hard on our effectiveness. We use a unique probiotic in the deodorant that targets the bad bacteria that hangs out in the armpits that others in the market don't. So yeah, and we are building a very similar business. Our mission is to both banish single-use plastic from the bathroom. So and
it's going to take a lot more than one business to do that.
Totally. And but we really believe in design and creativity as a differentiator as well, and brand. Like I know that from raising money, I know that a lot of companies don't see brand as a differentiator. A lot of investors don't see brand as a differentiator, but it can be. Like, look at Oatly in the milk space, which is so super crowded now. But Oatly, Oatly, I think, are a good example of a company that feel local. They feel really small, and like you feel a bit cool drinking it. But actually, they're like a massive company now. Like a billion company or £1 billion company or whatever. So, and I think that's the secret. So, look, there's space for more than one, and I think we're seeing that. With how Fussy's going now, but also in retail, we're going into retailers together. Like, we're doing joint promotions.
Amazing.
Like, so we're building a category together. Who's building a bit more of the category? Probably them, but happy to let them do that.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, it's all good. They've done an amazing job as well. So like, I think hats off to them. To be fair, like I've got I think fair play.
Yeah. What's the end goal? Are you going to sell to someone huge?
Well, I think we've burnt our bridges with Unilever, maybe. So, but no, obviously we've got shareholders. They want a return.
Yeah.
I would like a break at some point. That would be great as well.
Yeah.
But so yeah. That is the plan in 2 to 3 years' time. How that comes about, how that looks, I don't know. I am really focused on just like building the business, getting from 10 mil to 20 mil. What do we need to do from there? 20
just
to 30
head down.
to 30 to 50, and taking it step by step. And those those evolution of the business, like we were saying earlier, and how it changes. I'm really focused on, and versus like, you know, we're going to become a unicorn and take over the world. Like there's like lots of successful outcomes that don't involve, well, more successful outcomes that don't involve unicorns, right? Like, but I think a lot of founders probably pitch their idea to, maybe they do believe it, and that's great. Like if that's their aim, awesome, right? But like, I certainly know there's been conversations I've had with investors where I've been like, we're going to be $1 billion company, where I haven't believed it. You know, like.
And are you saying that because that's what you know they want to hear, and therefore you've got to do the $1 billion
exactly.
line? Because
Well, that's how the VCs need that. And actually, I think that's why venture capital isn't necessarily the best route for consumer consumer brands, because there's so many successful consumer brands that has exited that haven't been at that scale, but it's still a really good return. You know, Pastor Evangelist, what was it, 40 or 60 million? Charles Farm, you know, 20 million. So like,
yeah, I was with a VC earlier this week who was talking about how they're only interested in big hits and an exit, you know, 20 mil exits, like just as cut it for them. And I mean, fine, I get it, and I get that that's your business model, but that's a really good deal. Like, that's a brilliant business that really deserves to be funded. Exactly. And what worries me about the funding landscape at the moment is that those businesses aren't quite finding their way. No,
exactly. And there will be the odd one, but I guess that's the other thing, like going back to competitors, is like the other way is like, maybe we're not playing the same game. Maybe like our competitor wants to be a unicorn, maybe we don't have to.
That's kind of what I was questioning. I was like, are you doing this slightly differently?
Yeah,
I think it's there that you can have two businesses that, if you look at just the top line numbers, tell you one story, but if you look at the way they're structured, like, that doesn't necessarily reflect the health by different standards.
No, totally, yeah.
I think it's just so interesting, like, what makes a good business. There are so many different definitions of that. Actually, really, founders and investors are the only people who can judge what their criteria of health is, and therefore how you're performing against it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I fundamentally believe Fussy will be a £50 million revenue business in the next 2 to 3 years, for sure.
Well, you're on track.
Exactly. And, you know, that's my focus. Like, and then anything else that comes around that or with that, then great.
Yeah, and that's exceptional. How have you found life as a founder?
Oh, wow. God.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I am now. I'm in a really good place now. Like, I've had some really, really dark days that I never thought I'd be in. I mean, not that dark. Maybe I've over-egged that, but like dark for what I thought I would experience and have experienced in the past before being a founder. So, you know, like I say, just like moments when I'm just working, and this is like probably a year or two ago, and I just burst out crying for no reason. And I didn't feel sad. I didn't at all. I think the stress had just got to a certain point where it just releases. I was like laughing, but I was like, this is weird. Things like that. I'm like, what? And then it was very hard when my co-founder had to leave the business. And
how long ago was that?
Oh, probably 2 years ago now. Yeah. And you know, just then it was just like not exercising, you know, drinking every night too much. Yeah. And before you know it, you know, put a lot of weight on, not feeling good.
Yeah, if all of those foundations
and it just like goes. But that's a really stressful, like that, you know, that was the time of the business where it was like survival and are we going to make payroll, but like, you know, your payment run comes in and you're like, oh shit, that's pretty much like all the money we've got. Like, I'm going to have to try and delay some of this. Like that kind of stuff going on. And also just a lot of pressure, like you'll know, of like, I don't know, like for me, like I guess I'm scared of failure, and I'm probably driven by that. And that's like good because it drives me, but it can also be like quite stressful because you know, in my mind, if it doesn't go well, like if Fussy ends tomorrow, like I failed. Do you know what I mean? So that's quite a lot of pressure. But no,
does that really haunt you? Like, it's not going to fail tomorrow.
Well, it might.
But I guess we all live with the real possibility that it could.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I'm in a much better place now. But like, I think founders have a really tough time that like people just can't understand, especially at that beginning stage for the first couple of years. And but now, no, look, I would not change it for the world though. Like learning every day. You know, now I'm exercising a lot, not drinking during the week, like, so, you know, things are good.
Yeah. I want to hear more about how you've got better, but I also, I think this, I don't know, I really don't know what my take on this is. On the one hand, I think we all need to, like, really get over ourselves. I really lose patience for this, like, I am really struggling and my life that I chose, and you know, we're all eminently employable people, like we can all go and get many jobs.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
we've chosen to do this. Absolutely. We're all incredibly fortunate positions where we could do a million other things, and yes, it's hard for sure, but we also have huge benefits. So I don't know, some part of me is like, let's all stop this, it's really tough narrative.
Yeah.
And the other half of me is like, talk to me on a Thursday night when I'm shattered again, and I'm like, no, this is genuinely really hard. And maybe life is really hard, and maybe actually we're the ones that are given the podcast, and therefore we can talk about how hard life is. And actually, like, you know, the people in corporate jobs don't have the platforms to say, I'm having a really hard time too. Actually, I think it's just modern existence. So I don't know what my take on it is. What do you think? I
guess maybe it doesn't need to be binary again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, personally,
yeah, it's not comparative.
Well, or it's just not like. I just think, I don't know. I mean, personally, like, I've never like gone out there looking for sympathy or being like, oh man, like being a founder is really. Apart from just then when I've like told you it's really hard, but need a hug. But but as I said, like, it's really hard, but I would not change it for the world.
Yeah,
I love it. I chose it.
Yeah.
And you know, all those moments have like been learning moments that I, you know, and built resilience, and like, what an amazing journey. And I'm thankful for those moments. So like, I haven't gone out there looking for that at all. But yeah, I guess it's just like, maybe it's a bit of both. Like, I think as long as people are happy to kind of, you know, take the downside, but also realise the privilege at the same time, and be, you know, rather than one or other, and like, then maybe that's all right.
Just perspective, always.
Yeah.
So how have you got to a good place? How do you look after yourself?
How have I got to a good place? I think it's part of the evolution of the business, to be honest, like having more people in the team. So I do give a lot of credit to them. You know, from wearing 10 hats to wearing not quite 10 hats now. So yeah, that's really helped getting the business to a more stable position. It's really just a reflection of like where the business is at, I think. And I guess that's the thing with the founders, and separating yourself from the business. Actually, like I didn't say this. I can't remember. Heard someone said like they when things got really good for them, they managed to separate their personal identity from the business. And I didn't really understand that at the time. But I do now.
What, as in you were just like, impossible?
Well, no, I just didn't understand what they meant.
Oh, right.
Like, I literally just didn't understand what they were saying. I was like, what do you mean? Like, separate yourself from the... But yeah, you know, you're right. Like, you are the business.
I think it's...
But now I've separated a little bit, I understand.
I also don't think that's just a founder thing. I think that's like a type A.
Yeah.
You're a high achiever. Your work, whether that's being an employee or being a founder, your work is who you are. And I get the advice, but it's really hard to implement.
Totally. Yeah, and that's a good point, I guess, about going back to like the whole I'm a founder thing. Is like, actually, it applies to everybody. Like high achievers in jobs as well.
I think my team carry like the weight of the world on their shoulders. It's not like they're not shouldering what I'm shouldering.
Yeah. And many of them are founders. Like they're
like
just developing their career, which that's their founder, you know, like, I mean, but anyway, so I think that's been really helpful, and then just a bit of discipline, just like not drinking in the week.
It really helps.
Oh my god, yeah.
When it gets bad, go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Like, are you eating right? Are you moving enough? Are you doing stuff that's going to make you feel terrible? And then things feel brighter.
Yeah, and exercise becomes fun once you're fit again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I got unfit, and then the thought of doing exercise is like, oh no, because I don't enjoy it. But as soon as you've got fit again, and then you get a buzz from doing it, and then going to the gym or going swimming is actually and then it's contagious, and you know, you're addicted now. Well, I'm addicted now, or whatever. So yeah, and same with drink, I guess. Like, you have a glass of wine at night. If you just get into a habit of then having a glass of wine every night, don't you? And then you don't sleep so well, and then you feel tired, and then, you know, you get more stress, and then you have a glass of wine. So it's all just
changing the trajectory of a cycle. It's all about like finding those little start of a correction that then means the trend line goes back up.
Yeah. It was a stressful time as well because the time that Eddie left the business, had his brain injury, which isn't for me to talk about.
Yeah.
So obviously his story was awful, but he's made a full recovery now, which is amazing. But we also had a newborn baby, so like it was like newborn
wild.
baby on my own, just on Dragon's Den, and like it was just mad, and I didn't really connect with Fleur for those first like 6 to 12 months. Really, I literally didn't have any feelings towards her. And I obviously, well, I don't know. Yeah, it was hard. Like and I was like, oh, this is weird. I thought like this is meant to be like the most happiest moment of your life. You see it in the movies, and like everyone's crying,
like,
dad's
this
crying.
is amazing.
And actually, I don't think that gets talked about. Like maybe for men, sometimes it is harder to connect at first, and but I didn't put the time in. I didn't have paternity leave or any of that. So
It's really tough.
But thankfully now, like I love Fleur to bits, and like we have the best relationship. So, but yeah, I think those first that definitely added to the
It's definitely
stress.
important to talk about like exactly what you're saying. Like maybe those first bits of a business, first bits of a baby. Like maybe the story isn't the way it's meant to go.
Yeah.
Like we each have our own journeys, and that the story can change. It's not
totally.
you haven't connected with your child, just in a different way.
Yeah.
Just rewriting those social norms. They're just so hard coded. And there's so many of them. Like the job is never ending.
I would say that's something I did wrong though. Is probably deciding to have a baby at the same time as having a business.
But I mean, what's the alternative? Wait a long time.
Yeah, wait a long time. I guess, yeah, which one would I have waited for?
Yeah.
No, you're right, yeah.
I think you've just got to suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up.
Just how it goes.
Harder for Becky, to be fair, as well, in many ways, although she obviously had a connection with Fleur. Like, my wife's a head teacher.
That's crazy.
Having a baby, husband's off starting a business. I often think, actually, like, if Becky had wanted to be an entrepreneur, could she have? Probably not, actually, because she was the breadwinner and she supported my ambitions. So that's, I don't know, like that's a bit fucked up as well. Like if Becky had turned around and said, I've got this business idea, I want to start it. Can you support, I wouldn't have been able to.
You'd just be like, I can't.
Yeah, because I had to, wasn't earning any money and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that probably gets us into a whole other discussion about why there's, not enough, female founders and funding and stuff.
I wonder if that's connected.
Maybe. I got asked that question, actually. I did panel talk and someone asked about female investors. I didn't have an answer at the time, but it was like...
Well, and the question was, do you have any female investors?
No, it was like what's your advice for female founders raising investment? Like, obviously, like most of the money goes to white men. Like, how?
Yeah, would you mind taking less of it? And
I was like, oh fuck, like yeah, good point. I mean, the bad thing was the panel was like mostly male,
of
like,
course,
yeah. But I didn't have an answer at the time. But like, it's been reflecting on me, like what can male founders do to help with that?
Yeah,
and like my like analysis was that piece about supporting your wife, and figuring out how you can do that better, but also I guess like giving female staff the opportunity to work in startups and act like founders there, and maybe it comes down to hiring a little bit, and then also giving time. So like I've tried to now speak to lots of female founders to kind of pass on my experiences, but I don't know. What do you reckon? What can we do?
That's a really good question. Well, firstly, I love that you're like thinking about it. I think with all of these things, like awareness is the first step. I think I get really nervy at talking in gendered language because I don't know if I believe it.
Fair.
Like I do believe, obviously, the data is incredibly compelling, but I don't believe that women and men are necessarily different. I think women sometimes maybe tend to have a little bit less confidence or like I want to say ballsiness, but that's like obviously deeply gendered, but like I think there's something in that where they don't necessarily take that leap. which I think we can do a job of encouraging. And I think, I mean, I did, in the last episode, I went on about this as well, but I think maternity leave is a massive societal problem.
Yeah.
That I did not get.
Yeah. 5
years ago.
Yeah.
Didn't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I now understand it twofold. One, because I'm like thinking about it and being like, what would actually happen if I just disappeared for a year? Like, would this be okay? And like, how do I build into the forecast the downside of me not being at work?
Yeah.
I was talking to someone who worked at Deliciously Ella recently, and they were saying that they were like, Ella was like, I'm off for a year. And they were like, cool. So we're going to decline 20%. And it's like, wow. That's real. Like, Ella is your content machine. Your content machine is not available. Therefore, your ad performance collapses. You know, therefore. Like, you literally bake it into the thing. And I think that's huge. And I also really see it as an employer. So I am, I'm like, 5 years ago, I'm going to build a business and I'm going to be the best place for working women. And now I've got a team of 20, most of whom are women, all of whom are, like, we're all quite similar ages.
Yeah.
And it's not impossible that like 5 of us are on mat leave at the same time. That's actually not that unlikely. And I'm thinking like, that would fold us. Like, we can't do that.
Yeah, it's hard.
And so now I'm like, so that mat leave policy, let's put some more statutory in that. Like, and I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to have to do some real like P&L digging to work out how to manage that stuff. And I just think that's a really big problem. So I think what men can do is take paternity leave properly. I think it's really important role modelling in terms of what you can do, and really understand that women. So I posted on LinkedIn really recently saying some stuff I was thinking about, and one of the things was I'm thinking about mat leave, and I got 3 WhatsApps, all from men, being like, "You pregnant?" It's like, no, just because I'm thinking about mat leave doesn't mean I'm pregnant. Women have to start planning for this stuff years before it happens.
Oh, yeah.
Women are thinking about mat leave literally like before they've been on the first date. They're like, how am I going to operate my career around this? And I don't think men get that.
No.
Don't think they've really understood just how big a problem it is and how terrified we are about what that's going to mean for our development and progression.
Yeah, it's so true. Like my wife saved up for like a year and a half or a year to be able to then go on mat leave. Do you know what I mean? And I bet she's thinking about when to push to promotion in relation to that, and also who knows when you're going to get pregnant and all of this like. Well, yeah, we weren't. We're not planning on having a second at the moment, and part of that is because she doesn't want to go through the career thing
you're
again.
In the midst of it.
So
I think what men can do is allow space for those conversations and sort of almost say it first.
Yeah.
And say, like, I want to make sure that we're planning a 5-year path for you that allows this to be really possible, and don't make it feel like it's just in people's heads.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, but I don't have any of the answers. I think the older I get, the more I'm like, oh yeah, this is a massive problem, like massive, and don't know how to solve it, and don't feel like I've had any sexism in my career. So it's not that anyone's done it to me; it's just a thing that is happening.
Yeah. Government needs to help out more with startups,
It's got to be really structural.
And the other thing I've learned is maternity is not a holiday. And that's really important. I've definitely been in a room recently, actually, where someone had come back off mat leave, and, a bloke in the room made a comment about...
Seriously?
It being, fun or something.
Nice, jolly.
Yeah, I bet that was nice. How's it being back, kind of thing? And it's like, no, actually, like... mat leave can be brutal. For my wife, it was really, really hard. Yeah. And, being at work is sometimes easy. Well, often easier than looking after a kid full time.
Well, that's what I hear, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll go off marketing there.
I know. I also feel like this kind of makes me like a mad baby brain person. What is one thing someone listening to this podcast can do to help?
I would say support small growing businesses and buy Fussy.
Great.
And listen to this podcast.
Yeah, and listen to it and like and follow. Amazing.
But that's what I'd say.
Cool. Matt, thank you so much for coming.
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. A reminder once again, please do like or follow and leave us a review so that other people can find us and you get to find out first when we drop new episodes. Next up, I'm interviewing Ben Parker, who is founder and coach of Runner App, an athlete and first-time founder who's just closed a huge round and has some seriously massive plans, goals and marketing going on at the moment. So I'm so excited to dig in. Just stay tuned for the episode.